Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. Before I jump into this video, I would like to welcome some special guests to the channel. Those of you who are new, this is the Angry Man Podcast on Sports Media, where we're always dropping boxing related content. So make sure you become a subscriber. For those of you who are already subscribers or regular patrons of the channel, smash that like button so other people can find the content, or the dislike button, but make sure that you are engaging. Now we're going to talk about my boy Jaron Boots Ennis in this particular video. And he's finally responded to some of the criticism that is out there about him and how he's been moving over the last several weeks. Now, for me, I think there is one common denominator that I will get into later on in this video, and the reason why I believe we've seen a shift in regards to Jaron Ennis being the most feared fighter at 147 to a fighter that is somewhat tarnished. Now, let's walk through the timeline of some of the things that have occurred here recently. We know that, number one, Turkey Al-Sheikh was interested in Jaron Ennis moving to 154 pounds, potentially to face Bud Crawford. And after a fight with Karan Chukazian where he did not look that great, instead of moving up to 154, he decided to stay at 147. That's one data point. Then the negotiations with Brian Norman Jr. We saw that Brian Norman Jr. wanted to get a little bit more ducats to make that fight because, of course, that's the biggest fight that could be made at 147. And if you make it for low money today, how are you going to get big money later? Makes perfect business sense. Jaron Boots Ennis and his team passed, and instead they fought Stanionis and gave Stanionis more money, which makes Ennis look bad. Then the Teofimo Lopez situation where he moved away from that. Devin Haney recently stated that he wanted to fight him and he didn't go down that path. Virgil Ortiz or Robert Garcia mentioned that there was an opportunity for that fight to happen, I guess some years ago, maybe a year or so ago. And then here most recently, supposedly a fight between him and Virgil Ortiz was going to happen, signed, sealed, and delivered. But in reality, it was Eddie Hearns who's basically saying that Jaron Boots Ennis is signed to him. So these are all the data points that people are looking at and saying that Jaron Boots Ennis is not what they claim or say he is. Now, I like Boots, and I'm of the mindset that he is one of the most talented fighters in the sport. Still has some things to prove, but don't they all? But at the end of the day, one of the most talented fighters in the sport today. Now, Jaron Ennis decided that he was going to address this. He's tired of these things being put out there, the fake narratives, if you call it. So let me read off what he said quickly. All these false stories and fake narratives are going to stop. Like I said the other day, the truth going to come to the light. From here on out, we pulling everybody card from the rip. They pulling everybody card from the rip. That's interesting. Now, I like that. I like that, but I'm going to tell you exactly what people are going to say about that, right? So you said you're pulling everybody's card from the rip, but then it's just been announced that you're fighting a guy named Lima, right? So people are going to point to that. I'm not familiar with Lima. He's somebody that I'm going to have to look up, but that's exactly what people are going to go to and say, you're pulling everybody's card from the rip, yet you're fighting this guy. So, number one, I think it's perfectly okay for Jaron Ennis to be fighting this dude. When Crawford moved up, he fought Madrimov. Yeah, he was a champion, but he was a champion with 11 fights. I don't remember exactly who Virgil fought in his first fight, but I'm pretty sure it was not someone who was highly regarded when he moved up to 154. Now, it might be because of Robdo, but at the end of the day, he didn't. Most times people move up, they fight a fighter that they can get acclimated to the weight. You know, that's smart. So I don't have a problem with Jaron Ennis doing that. That's what he should do. He shouldn't move right up and fight Virgil Ortiz. I mean, that's not wise. So I'm fine with Boots in that particular situation. And the false narratives that he's speaking of, I think those false narratives or stories or whatever you want to call them exist because of one reason. And that reason, in my personal opinion, is Eddie Hearn. I've said this on multiple occasions on our live stream, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday. Look, I think since Jaron Boots Ennis has been with Eddie Hearn, This is when all these fake stories, confusing, false narratives, false stories have started to occur. I think Jaron Ennis has to become more vocal. I think he has to take charge of his career, the direction of it, what is being put out there, what is not being put out there, and making sure that there is complete alignment with Eddie Hearn and that he has full information and transparency in that relationship. I suspect, and this is what I suspect with many fighters that go out and say things that don't necessarily make sense. They're listening to the information of their team and may not have complete information in regards to what is actually occurring with negotiations, contracts, conversations with other fighters or promotional outfits. That is just my personal opinion. That is what I believe is currently going on with many fighters. And that's the reason why sometimes when they take to social media or they go to an interview or have an interview and make some comments that don't make sense, that is what's truly occurring. I think that's what's occurring here. So I don't blame Jaron Ennis for some of these fights not happening. I think some of these fights didn't happen because of the business of boxing. I think some of these fights didn't happen because of changing directions for Ennis. And I think some of it just happens because of a lack of understanding of how things, really a lack of media training and being savvy with the media. So like Boots, he needs to step up, in my personal opinion, and take more control over his career. But I think at the end of the day, again, he's one of the more talented fighters in the sport. I can't wait to see what he looks like at 154. And with these comments that he's made, he's pulling everybody card off the rip. Then he's going to have to step up in his next fight and fight someone who is notable at 154 and that people will want to see him in the ring against at that weight division. If he fights another fighter that is not recognized or well recognized, then that's going to create a challenge, and he needs to push his promoter to pay these guys accordingly so these fights can be made, because Boots got to be, what, 28? Something like that. And there's going to be the noise is going to get louder. It's going to get louder and louder and louder if he doesn't start to move in a direction where he has more recognizable and notable names on his resume. It's just that simple. So you guys let me know what you think in the comment section in regards to this. Are you excited about the fight with Lima? What direction should Jaron Ennis move after that fight? And do you believe that Eddie Hearn has been the center of all the confusion as it relates to the fake narratives and false stories that are out there in regards to Jaron Ennis? Let me know what you think. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast on Sports Media, and I am out.